November by engaging a diverse coalition of voters to make their voices heard. Our work is not done yet. It's time to finish the fight. Make no mistake, everything we voted for in November of this year, health care, jobs, the environment, women's rights, education, racial justice, is on the ballot January the 5th. Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are committed to working with the Biden-Harris administration to fight back against the COVID-19 pandemic, make sure everyone has access to health care, build our economy, build back better for small businesses, support working families weathering this crisis, and ensure justice for all. We need to get out and vote and give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the U.S. Senate seats they need to make real change in America. That's why our friend Kamala Harris is back in Georgia to encourage voters to get out and vote early. Vice President-elect Harris knows that the stakes of this election are high, but Georgians have a legacy of showing up and showing out. There are many ways to vote this election season, and Georgians across the state are already voting. If you have already registered your absentee ballot but haven't turned it in yet, drop it off at a ballot drop box in your county in Columbus as soon as possible. If you haven't requested an absentee ballot, voting early in person is a great way to make your vote count, and early in-person voting started Monday. But don't stop there. Mobilize your communities, your friends, and your family to make sure they have a plan to vote and follow through with the plan before the January 5th deadline. Remember this, we are going to need as much support as we can in order to keep Georgia blue and flip the Senate. So make your plans to vote. History has its eyes on Georgia. The eyes of the nation are on the great state of Georgia. We are waiting with what Abraham Lincoln called a patient confidence in the ultimate justice of the people, for voters across Georgia to be counted and for disputes to be settled. It's clear that we have won the people's confidence. It's clear we achieved things in pushing Georgia blue that were supposed to be impossible. What's most clear of all is that as distractors try to distract Georgia voters with the legal shenanigans intended to suppress our votes, you and I need to focus and work right here in front of us. We still have the power to do this, and we can still do this. We can win on January the 5th. Can we do this? Let me hear you. Can we do this? Are you with us? Are you with us? Can we do this on the victory on January the 5th? Thank you very much.
Hello, Columbus. Hello, Georgia. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Even though millions of Americans are in food lands because they cannot put food on the table, even though thousands of Americans are dying from COVID-19 and the virus, and our hospital beds are becoming overrun, even though millions of families are on the verge of being put out of their homes because they are out of work, their unemployment checks are gone and they can't pay the rent, even though businesses are folding and state and local governments are unable to fund their police, their first responders, and their teachers, there is light at the end of this tunnel. God has given us an opportunity to turn all of that around. On January 5th, we get to elect Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock and Dan Blackman Let's hear it. On November the 3rd, 2.5 million Georgians turned out in record numbers and elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris President and Vice President of the United States. But that alone will not get us where we need to be. That alone is not sufficient. Our job is not finished and our work is not done. Yes, we have a Democrat majority in the House of Representatives. Yes, we have a Democratic Speaker at the House of Representatives. But Mitch McConnell in the Senate still has a 50 to 48 majority. Joe and Kamala Harris have great plans to build America back and to build it back better, to crush the virus, to heal our land, to fix our economy. But unless we elect Jon Ossoff, Raphael Warnock to the Senate, McConnell will keep killing our life-saving legislation, legislation for economic justice, for health care justice, for voting rights justice, for criminal justice, for environmental justice. He'll keep killing it. We need to elect Daniel Blackman to the Public Service Commission here in Georgia. We gotta keep the lights on and keep the homes heated here in Georgia during this pandemic and during the winter. This pandemic is terrible. Our job is not over. Our work is not done. Georgia, Columbus, the eyes of the nation are on us. The eyes of the world are on Georgia. The future of our nation is in our hands. We must not miss this opportunity. We must not fumble the ball. We must marshal all of our resources. We must assure a massive turnout. We must mobilize. We must get out the vote. We must get ballots in the mail. We must get votes in the drop box. We must early vote. We must vote the day of. We must vote. We must vote. We must vote. Yes, today we must rejoice. We must rejoice because just shortly we will have here in Columbus, Georgia, a very, very special guest. We will have one of our own Divine Nine. One of our own HBCU graduates. We will have the former Attorney General of the state of California, a current United States Senator, a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, my friend, the next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, right here in Columbus, Georgia. She is coming to support us. She is coming to encourage us. She is coming to motivate us. And she is coming to inspire us. So today, we must rejoice. We have the power. We have the will. We have the determination. And we will get the job done. Jon Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, Daniel Blackman, we will get it done. We won't give up. We won't give in. We won't give out. We are going to vote, vote, vote. We are fired up, ready to vote. Fired up, ready to vote. Fired up, ready to vote. Let's win, let's win, let's win.
Columbus, Georgia. Over 20 years ago, you guys sent me away, and how proud I am to be back home today. I'm a product of Fort Middle School and Shaw High School in Columbus, Georgia. And we're absolutely privileged today to not only be here with your next two United States Senators, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, but how amazing is it that when they say Georgia is at the center of the political universe, that Vice President-elect Harris chose Columbus to show up today. We're in debt to those in our community and those in our counties and those in our state who came before us. And I want you all to understand, first and foremost, for those that don't know me, my name is Daniel Blackman. I'm running for the Public Service Commissioner in the state of Georgia, your Public Service Commission, and I will be honored to be the first Democrat elected to statewide office in almost 20 years. To my friends in Columbus, whether a kid is on the north side or the east side, whether a kid grows up on Fort Benning, where my father so honorably served our nation, to our military families, we thank you for your service. To those who served, we thank you for your service. Don't let anyone ever tell you that Democrats don't care about our servicemen and women. To Sanford Bishop and Calvin Smyrie, thank you for your example. Thank you for setting the bar. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I want you to understand three things, and then I'm going to get ready to walk off this stage because I know we're all excited to vote. Georgia has the 5th highest electric rates in the United States, and too many of our children are struggling because the lights are off. And whether you live in Columbus or you live in Atlanta, your parents' income should never determine a child's outcome. And whatever we have to do to increase jobs and opportunities in this state is what we're in debt to do. COVID-19 has crippled our economy, but for so many children that are struggling with a lack of access to wireless broadband and high-speed internet, we're not going to fail them, nor are we going to leave them behind, because cities like Columbus must lead the way in Georgia and be an example and set that bar so that other counties in this state can grow and prosper and be as successful as we all attain to be. And then lastly, if you believe in science and you believe in our responsibility and role to fight the climate crisis, the current administration has cut 125 environmental protections. If you care about the air you breathe and the water you drink, then I want you to remember not only to vote for the Public Service Commission, but I want you all to understand how important it is for us to have a Senate majority, a majority that will ensure health care, a majority that will fight the climate crisis, a majority that will put us first. And in this city, and the example that you've given me, I want to personally say thank you. You guys sent me out one way, and because of your encouragement, because of your support, because of your investment in people like myself, I'm able to come back proud to say that I grew up in this city. So to Muskogee County, to Columbus, Georgia, don't you ever take for granted those who call this city home. Don't you ever take for granted the young men and women you walk past, because you never know when they may be your next Public Service Commissioner. God bless you, Columbus.
All right, folks, Roland Martin here. We are in Columbus, Georgia. We were here, of course, Sunday before last when Black Voters Matter. They actually had their Get Out the Vote rally here. And so some of you may think that it's a sparse turnout. So here's the deal. Senator Kamala Harris was supposed to be in Gwinnett County this morning at 11:30 this morning. She then was supposed to have a rally here in Columbus at another location at 5:30. We were going to take her remarks. We're going to be between 6 and 6:30. But because Congress worked the COVID-19 relief bill out, she has to fly back to Washington, D.C. to actually vote. So she literally flew in this morning and is flying right back to vote this evening in Washington, D.C. And so that's why that was scrapped. And so our plans were to do Roland Martin Unfiltered live from Columbus because the rally will be going on the same time that we are live. But like I say, all of that was scrapped. And so that's why you have this midday rally, if you will. But it was supposed to be, like I said, it was supposed to be actually at 5 o'clock this evening. And so that's what's going on. And so a lot of people who are out here, you see a lot of folks, a lot of her sorority sisters, AKAs. You see Deltas, I see Alphas, members of the Divine Nine who are here. And so that's what's going on here. And so we'll also see here, of course, you've got the buses of Reverend Raphael Warnock and also Jon Ossoff. And so what we're doing is we're waiting actually. So what's going to happen is those two are going to actually speak. And so you heard Daniel speak, who is running for the three runoff races. Of course, the brother who is running for the public utilities position, he just finished speaking. Then you have Jon Ossoff, and then you have Raphael Warnock. Jon Ossoff is running against Senator David Perdue. Raphael Warnock is running against, of course, Senator Kelly Lefford. And so that's where we stand. And so we're simply waiting for the rest of the program. Not sure why they started the program this early. We heard from State Representative, State Senator Calvin Smyer. Also, we heard from Congressman Sanford Bishop. Of course, member of Sanford, a member of the CBC, and so we heard from them. So again, not sure why we heard from them so early in this particular program. And so right now we're waiting for the rest of the program to continue, and so that's what's going on right now. And so what you're seeing here is, again, this is one of those mobile rallies. We've been seeing a lot of this lately, really all over, where they have these rallies in order for people to be able to attend these particular events. And so, how you doing? And so that's one of the things that you see. And so, Anthony, you can get a shot over here. And so what you're seeing is you got some cars up here, then you got but you got cars that are obviously over there as well. And so they also choose places where they can limit. And what I found to be interesting is this here, that when we had the rally for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock in the parking lot of Turner Field, that was a massive parking lot. Not quite sure why they picked locations for both President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, where they really are small locations. Security is also factored into this as well. And so if you look at this particular spot here, in terms of the space, what it's overlooking here, and so what you also have is, and this is a marked departure from when Biden was here last week. I can tell you there's always a huge difference. There's always a huge difference between security protocols with the President of the United States versus the Vice President of the United States, even with President-elect and the Vice President-elect. And so it's a lot different security protocol here because, again, of course, I remember last week when Biden was in Atlanta, we could see very visibly snipers who were actually on top of roofs, looking over different locations, a much more imposing police presence. This is not as great that you have here as well. What's been happening here, you've had a lot of the AKs have been serving as marshals as well, helping people come in with cars. Looks like what they're now doing is they're actually bringing more cars in. They actually had them held back there, and so they're bringing them in. And so this parking lot is actually going to fill up a lot more than when this program actually initially started. And so that's what's going on. They also have them socially distanced in terms of how the cars are being separated, not next to one another. What happens is most people stay in their cars, but there are many others who actually are stepping outside of their cars as well. this has been quite the busy week. Early voting in Georgia started on last Monday. Last Monday, early voting started. It was the first day, December 14th. In 1 week, 1.3 million people have voted early. That is folks who have voted in person. And you also have the people who've been voting absentee balloting as well. And so it has been an amazing turnout, if you will, taking place here in Georgia. And they were hoping that 30% of the turnout be African American. According to Daniel, when he spoke at the rally I was speaking at Saturday in Athens, Georgia, it's around 33%. They would actually bring that up as well. And so one of the reasons why this event is being held here as opposed to in Metro Atlanta is because so much of the attention is on Metro Atlanta. Obviously, that's the case because 60% of Georgia's population is in Metro Atlanta. But what Republicans have always done well is in places like here in Columbus. We're talking Columbus. We're talking Albany. We're talking Savannah. We're talking, those Warner Robins, Macon, Augusta, those places where Athens, those places that are not actually in Metro Atlanta. And so what their goal is to turn out African Americans in places like this here. Significant population in these rural cities, not your major cities, but in these rural cities. And so they really, really, really want to ramp up this whole deal. What's also happening here in Georgia, Republicans are putting a significant amount of money on television and radio. What Democrats are doing, Democrats are spending their money a little bit different. They're spending their money actually on the ground game. So one of the things that we have seen, and again, we've been here in Georgia for the last few weeks. We have been here and we've seen folks putting folks out. Now again, I'm going to say this here. Somebody here on YouTube says the numbers are low, 51% to 33%. No. Let me explain to you. When I say 33%, that means that of the folks turning out, African Americans represent some 33% of all those casting early votes. First of all, they were targeting. They were saying they were expecting 30, was around 33%. They want to get it to even higher than that, and so they're looking for a tremendous black turnout. But that's going to actually happen if you see the turnout happening in places like Columbus, in places like Warner Robins, as I said, in Savannah, in Augusta, in a lot of these rural areas. That is the whole key here. Well, they're not necessarily. So, Anthony, go ahead. So, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has arrived. You see her motorcade that is coming up. Anytime you know the Vice President-elect is here, the President, when you see that. And so you see the police cars that are coming. And so that's her. So she has arrived here. And, of course, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, they are with her as well. They're with her as well. And then follow. Yeah, so right there. So as you see, so as you see, so the motorcade has arrived. So Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are likely with her. That's why they haven't spoken yet. And so Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has indeed arrived. And so what you're going to see is those cars that are coming up there. They're going to probably walk her down those steps there and then walk her right into the area where she's going to take the stage and speak. She's going to speak, and again, she's going to fly back to Washington, D.C. to vote on that COVID-19 bill that's been worked out between Republicans and Democrats. And so that's what's going on here. And so that's what's going on here. And so she is here. And so folks have been waiting for her. To come here. They've been waiting for her to speak. And so that's what we're waiting for as well. You see some pool cameras over there. You got media. You got other media who are camped out right over here. You've got different folks who are out here as well. And so we were looking forward to her speak. She has not spoken a lot publicly. Last week was the first time Joe Biden came to Georgia since November 3rd for the rally. Then, of course, you have Kamala Harris here. We fully expect to see more people coming here to Georgia to campaign on behalf of Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Tim Kaine, he was here. Julian Castro was here. We're looking for others to come here as well. Look, all eyes are on Georgia. Why is that? Because right now Republicans hold a 50-48 advantage in the United States Senate. If Democrats are able to win these 2 Senate seats, it will cause a tie in the U.S. Senate, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, once she is sworn in as Vice President of the United States, she will break any ties. And so Democrats will actually be in control of the U.S. Senate. If Democrats are able to win these 2 seats, that means that Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky will no longer be the Senate Majority Leader. That means that the leader of the United States Senate is going to be Senator Chuck Schumer. That's why this is so important. Republicans desperately want to hold on to the United States Senate because then they control legislation. That means that anything that's passed in the House right now, McConnell can kill it. They got to negotiate him. If Democrats control the Senate, that means that stuff passed in the House cannot get to the Senate. Democrats understand if they win these 2 Senate seats, the George Floyd Justice Act can actually get passed. The John Lewis voting bill can actually get passed. All of those bills dealing with climate change, dealing with so many issues, can actually get considered. Mitch McConnell has not taken up 300 to 400 bills passed by the House. He won't even address them. That's the difference between this election and these seats. And so that's one of the things that we're seeing. That's why so much energy is on this particular race. That's why folks are really trying to encourage folks to call and text to get folks to vote early, not wait until January 5th. And so that's what we see that's going on here in Georgia. Like I said, we've been here for the last 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be here today through Thursday. We'll go back home after Christmas, come back on Sunday. And again, we'll be here through January 5th, reporting on the ground. A lot of people are not actually doing that. And so, frankly, we haven't seen a lot of other members of the black press other than local folks here. So I'm not quite sure what the other black folks in media, black press media nationally, what they're doing. But we want to be on the ground here to give y'all a sense of what is happening here in Georgia. Y'all can hear directly from the candidates. We've been able to talk to Ossoff, talk to Warnock. We've talked to voters. We've talked to others. We've talked to other elected officials who have been here as well. And so that is what we have been doing since really last, like I say, 2 or 3 weeks ago, being here in Georgia. Very aggressive, really focusing on what's happening in this particular state. And so it has been quite busy. And it's not just the campaigns who have also been very busy. Like I said, you have third-party groups like Georgia Stand Up. That was of course, Black Voters Matter. We were in Savannah on Friday for a Black Voters Matter rally and concert that featured Common and Keke Palmer. Of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/RolandSMartin to actually watch that stream. We also have had, since we've been here, we've also, first of all, on Saturday, we live streamed another rally that took place, the Georgia People's Agenda, that featured Will Packard, Keke Palmer, and Lynn Whitfield. And so Lil Yachty performed as well. And so we live streamed that. And so if you go to our YouTube channel, you will see a whole lot of the streams that we have been doing and we have been pushing out, because this has all been about, for us, being able to cover what has been happening in this state, being on the ground, giving it to you directly. And so as you'll see, folks are waiting for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Anthony's get a shot right here. So you see over here the folks who are congregated over here, many of them NAACP officials, as I said, members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris is a member of the AKAs. You see Deltas here. You see folks from various Divine Nine fraternities and sororities who are here. And so that's one of the things that we've also been watching, just how folks have been turning out, showing out. One of the things that we also said is that as we have traveled around this state, is what the ground means. When we were in Albany, one of the things that they told us is that they were seeing people for the first time, not just coming to people's doors one time, but 2 and 3 times. When I say the money is being placed on the ground, third-party Democratic groups understand that ground game wins. Turnouts in runoffs are not the same as general elections. In fact, If you turn 18 between now and January 5th, you can vote. Some 23,000 Georgians, okay, will be, some 23,000 Georgians will be 18 years old by election day. Folks are trying to get to them. One, the registration's already passed, okay? December 7th was dictated to register. But they're trying to get to them to actually turn out and vote. And so that's what they have been doing. They've been focused on trying to do that. And so, like I say, it is ground game, ground game, ground game. How can you canvass, going to people's door, making them aware of what's going on? We had Higher Heights on our show. The group, of course, that's all about electing black women. They commissioned a poll with hit strategies. Well, they said some 25 to 35% of black women who are in Georgia were not aware that January 5th was the runoff in this state. Think about that, 25 to 35%. And so one of the things has been not just saying we need people to vote, but to even know that this exists, that this date exists of January 5th. One of the things that Pastor Raphael Warnock told us last week, they want to bank as many votes as possible between now and December 31st. The deadline to vote early voting is December 31st. In some counties is December 30th, some other ones is December 31st. And so that's sort of what's going on here in this particular state. And so, as I said, you have places where Republicans, like Cobb County, a lot of Republicans there, they want to run up huge numbers. Democrats believe that they can take these two seats if they see the same turnout that they saw on November 3rd. Remember, President-elect Joe Biden won Georgia by less than 12,000 votes. There were a lot of people who voted for Joe Biden who did not vote for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. And so Democrats are concerned about that because there were those people who actually split their tickets. So the question is, will those same people vote for Ossoff and Warnock over Loeffler and Perdue? One of the things that you also are seeing is you're seeing religious leaders come out. Kelly Loeffler she's really been attacking in a very aggressive way. She's been attacking. So what you see here coming in, folks, right here, Anthony, get a shot of here. What you're seeing here, these are members of the traveling press. The traveling press who goes with, this is the traveling press who comes with her. So I'm explaining to you, folks. So anytime you see, I'm explaining to you people who are sort of watching. Whenever you see the traveling press now come into position, that means that the candidate is actually then coming in. And so a lot of times we're doing stuff. What happens is people go, well, when is this whole thing going to start? When you see the traveling press move into position, that then means that the candidate or the president or the VP, they're going to be coming out very soon because they got to get them in position first. It always happens that way. And so I always get a kick out of folks when they ask, hey, when does this whole thing start? I'm like, look, until you see the traveling press show up, the president or the vice president is not coming into the room. And so that's what's going on here. And so that's one of the things you're seeing, again, so the folks who are here, traveling press with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. As I was saying, as I was explaining to you in terms of what is actually going on in this state, I told you about the split ticket voting. What the concern is getting those folks who did not want to vote for Donald Trump to get them to support Ossoff and Warnock. That's what they're focused on. I talked about how Senator Kelly Loeffler has been really attacking. She's really been attacking Pastor Raphael Warnock. Well, folks, over the weekend, yesterday, a group of diverse clergy led by African Americans actually released a letter blasting Senator Kelly Loeffler for her attacks on the faith of Pastor Raphael Warnock. Now, she released a tweet by saying she was not attacking his faith. She was simply attacking his position. Now, mind you, this is the same Kelly Loeffler who actually visited Ebenezer Baptist Church for MLK event in January of 2020. Now, check this out. This is an open letter to Kelly Loeffler and the Loeffler campaign. And it's from these pastors. They represent an interfaith group of ministerial leaders located throughout the state of Georgia who have come together to respond to recent attacks against Reverend Raphael Warnock's faith, beliefs, and ministry. As the Georgia Senate race heats up and early voting began, so does your naked hypocrisy and your blatant contradictions. Again, this is a letter they released and sent to Kelly Loeffler. just yesterday. They sent me a copy of it. We witnessed your naked hypocrisy as you supported 59 attempts at the delegitimization of black voters with meaningless lawsuits of the Trump campaign operatives. What can be more radical, more seditious than supporting 59 attempts to overthrow the will of the people by tossing black votes? Meanwhile, you offered your support for those feckless lawsuits of the Trump campaign. Through your silence, you demonstrated your disdain for black elected officials and Black Lives Matter marches against systemic racism and the epidemic violence against black people at the hands of police officers. You characterized these campaigns as mobs and lawlessness, but remained silent on the antics of the Proud Boys and the Wolverine Watchmen, both far-right neo-fascist groups that engage in political violence, the latter of which attempted to kidnap a seated governor of Michigan, an act for which 13 members have been indicted. We witnessed how conservatives uproariously cried foul when anyone asked how Amy Coney Barrett's faith might affect her rulings as she was under consideration for the High Court. We remember your tweet characterizing those perceived attacks against Barrett as disgusting, but now you characterize Warnock's religious convictions as despicable, disgusting, and wrong. You continue to parse and take out of context decades-old utterances by Warnock from the pulpit. The cognitive dissonance is unparalleled. Your most recent attacks against Warnock for sermons condemning police brutality, advocating criminal justice reform, and expressing support for measures to reduce gun violence, all concerns of his congregation, are beyond the pale and cannot go unaddressed by members of the faith community. Reprehensible falsehoods must stop. We call upon you, Kelly Loeffler, to cease your false attacks on Reverend Warnock's social justice, theological, and faith traditions, which visualizes a just and ardent world where love, fairness, and equal justice under the law for marginalized people of all races is not only accepted as an authentic prophetic message in the tradition of Dr. Martin Luther King, but also a central message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We call on you to cease and desist your false characterizations of Reverend Warnock as radical or socialist when there is nothing in his background, writings, or sermons that suggest those characterizations to be true, especially when taken in full context. We see your attacks against Warnock as a broader attack against the black church and faith traditions for which we stand. We stand with Raphael Warnock. We stand for truth. We stand with Ebenezer Baptist Church. We stand for right, and we call on you and your campaign to cease your coordinated attacks on the prophetic imagination of Reverend Raphael Warnock today. As I said, more than 100 different faith leaders all over Georgia signed this particular letter and sent it to Senator Kelly Loeffler. Do not know what her response is, but that's a letter that was sent. And so you see what is happening here. There's a desperate attempt by Loeffler. If you saw the debate, we live streamed the debate, where all she kept doing was radical liberal, radical liberal, radical liberal, radical liberal. That's all she could say, Raphael Warnock, radical liberal. And so that's what they want to try to drive into the brains of Republican voters, laying out who he is. And so you see the folks who are pushing back on this whole notion of radical liberal. They're pushing back on that in a very significant way. And so that's where we stand here in Georgia. That's where we stand. Like I say, we have been covering this significantly from different perspectives, and that's what we're doing here. And so we're waiting right now. For Vice President-elect Kamala Harris to descend down those steps, and then for her to then come out and speak to the folks who are gathered. Let's get another shot over here of the folks who are gathered over here. You see the crowd is actually picked up big time. So you see what is going on here, and so all the folks who are here, not all the folks who are here, I'm saying, hold it when we come back over here. So you see, so again, more people have arrived. They will let more people in. So you see the folks who are here. So you see more people who are here. So you see they let more people in who are over here when Harris. So they held the folks back, and so this parking lot is filling up a lot more. It's filling up a lot more here as we're getting ready to see Vice President-elect Kamala Harris step out here and address this crowd on behalf of Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. And so, again, so we're not sure what the holdup is. It is currently 12:43 Eastern time. This was supposed to start around 11:30 or so, and that's where we are. And so we're just waiting for her. So we're going to do this here. We're going to go put the cover on. So we just got a very bright sun out here. Of course, we've had a lot of cloudy, overcast days and rain. But thank goodness we've got us a sunny day here in Columbus, Georgia. Thank goodness that we actually have this here. And so, because it was, and also, whoever picked this site did a better job than when Joe Biden was here. This is actually concrete. We were in the dirt and the mud when Joe Biden was here. And so that's where we now stand. What we're doing is we put this lens hood on the camera right now, folks. That's why. So just so y'all know what's going on here, we're putting this lens hood on to protect that sun that's coming across to sort of block it from the sun. So here we go. The rally's about to start. Here we go.
Candidate for U.S. Senate.
And come January 5th, when you send me and Jon Ossoff to the United States Senate, we're going to seal the deal. So make sure that we keep this momentum going all the way to January 5th. Don't let up for one bit. January 5th is election day, but let me tell you, we should no longer be talking about election day. There's no such thing. It's election season. We can't wait until January 5th. Anything can happen. Ice storm in Georgia, you know we're in trouble. And so start voting now. During this early voting period that goes through December 31st, make voting part of your holiday plan. Don't wait. There's too much at stake. Because the four most powerful words ever uttered in a democracy are "the people have spoken." And on November 3rd, you spoke loud and clear, and you sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House with Georgia's 16 electoral votes. We know they won because we counted them. Then we counted them again. Then we counted them again. Can there be any doubt that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the president and vice president-elect of the United States of America? But they will need help. And that's what Ossoff and myself that you would give us the great honor of representing the people of the greatest state in the Union, the state of Georgia, the home state of Martin Luther King Jr., in whose pulpit I'm honored to preach from every Sunday. As pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, spiritual home of Dr. King and the great John Lewis, who would be telling us right now, vote like you've never voted before. I'm honored just to be a part of this effort. I really am. Because no matter whatever I've been able to achieve, I've never forgotten where I came from. I was raised in public housing. One of 12 children in my family, I'm number 11. 12 kids. My folks are preachers and they clearly read the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. I'm the first graduate of a 4-year institution in my family. Morehouse College. I got there through hard work, grit, and determination. But I got there because somebody gave me some Pell Grants and some low-interest student loans. And I'm running because it's harder now for kids growing up in struggling families than it was for me all of those years ago. But when you look at me, you see an iteration and an example of the American story. Because I grew up in public housing. My mama's from Waycross, Georgia. That's way across Georgia. She grew up in the 1950s, and as a black teenager, she spent many summers picking somebody else's cotton. She spent many days picking somebody else's tobacco. But the other day, those 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton picked her youngest son to be a next United States Senator from the great state of Georgia. That's what I like about America. I love America because it is a great country that gives us the path to make it greater. And the way we make it greater is for the people to stand up. We're the only ones who can. This is our democracy. It doesn't belong to the politicians. It belongs to the people. They serve at our pleasure. So I'm deeply honored. The stakes of this election cannot be overstated. We've got to pass COVID-19 relief. We've got to make sure that workers are at the center of any relief that we provide. We've got to protect ordinary people. We've got to look out for our frontline workers, for our healthcare workers, for our police officers and our firemen and firewomen. We've got to look out for those who put it all on the line for us, who risk their lives by saving lives every day. We've got to get this vaccine distributed safely and efficiently. We've got to make sure that communities of color and other marginalized communities don't find themselves at the back of the line. We've got to stand up for our essential workers. Isn't it interesting? The folk that we have too often ignored, refuse to pay a livable wage. This pandemic has reminded us of how important they really are. The folk who stock grocery store shelves in the middle of the night while many of us are asleep. The folk who keep the economy humming, we now call them essential workers. Well, if they are essential workers, and indeed they are, we ought to pay them an essential wage, provide for them essential benefits. It's only right. And we have to strengthen the Affordable Health Care Act. And make sure we cover everybody. I believe that health care is a human right. And it is certainly something that the wealthiest nation on the planet can and ought to provide for all of its citizens. We can do it. We just have to commit to doing it. Been moving all across this state, dropping by little towns. And when I go into these small rural towns, they're surprised that I'm there. I'm surprised that they're surprised. They say, Reverend, we're not used to someone running for the Senate coming by our little town. That's strange to me because I'm running to be a United States Senator for the whole state of Georgia. Too many of our rural areas have been devastated. We've had 9 hospitals closed in this state in 10 years because we refused to expand Medicaid. Georgia deserves a United States Senator or 2 United States Senators who believe that health care is a human right, who will strengthen the Affordable Care Act instead of trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and who will make sure that people with pre-existing conditions can never be denied coverage from health insurance companies. Georgia deserves a United States Senator who understands that when kids come out of school, they should not be so burdened with college debt that they have a mortgage before they have a mortgage. Then we got to invest in this country through infrastructure investments that will create broadband in these rural areas, repair our roads and our bridges and our broken infrastructure, because our broken infrastructure is a reflection of our broken politics, and we must rise up in this defining moment in America and repair our roads and bridges, repair our democracy for the sake of the people. We can do it. The only way to do it is to stand together. So push hard now in these remaining couple of weeks, and push back against the forces that try to divide us. Have you noticed? I'm trying to have a substantive debate about the people of Georgia, and my opponent is trying to reduce this race to the kind of empty schoolyard insults made between children who aren't thinking very carefully on a playground. This is serious business, and she's busy calling me names. I'm trying to have a debate, and she's engaged in name calling. That's all right, as we say in the South, bless her heart. She can call me whatever she wants. Here's what I believe. I believe that health care is a human right. We can provide it in the richest nation on the planet. I believe that seniors should not have to choose between buying food and buying prescription drugs. And I believe that people who work hard every day deserve a livable wage. She can call that whatever she wants. I call it common sense. And so here's the thing. I know it's dark, but we can get through this together. We the people can do it. That is the covenant we have with one another as an American people. We the people. Who are we? We are those who work hard every day and can barely get by. We the people. We who work hard because we have heart, but we don't have health care. We the people. We who work to make others rich, but we can barely make the rent. We the people. We who are trying to struggle and make our way through college and technical school and vocational school so we can contribute to the great American democracy. We the people. We economically. But deep in our heart, we know that something is amiss, that something is wrong, and that it needs to be repaired. And we, the people, are the ones who can fix it in this defining moment in American history. My dad used to wake me up every morning as I close, and nobody believes a Baptist preacher when he says as I close. They say Rev's got at least 2 or 3 more closes, but honestly, as I close. My dad used to wake me up every morning because he had a serious work ethic. He was a veteran. Learned early to wake up early and get started. He was a pastor and he was a small businessman. He had things to handle. And so it didn't matter to him whether it was a school day or summertime or Saturday. He woke me up 7 days a week, often at dawn. And he had a way of saying, son, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. He didn't think you should sleep late or you should walk around, unprepared. And so he said, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. And I was a little boy, and so I asked him, Dad, it's Saturday. And I'm 7, 10 years old. Get ready for what? And sometimes I'd stump him. He said, I don't know, I'll figure that out later. You just be ready. Put your shoes on, son. He'd wake me up at dawn. And the thing about dawn is that it's morning, but it's still dark. It's dark, but morning is on the way. So I want to say to you, Columbus, Georgia, I want to say to you, America, that I know it's dark, but morning is on the way. And weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Are you ready to win this election? Get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready, call everybody you know, tell them it's time to vote like we've never voted before. Get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. Until we have affordable health care, until we have a livable wage, let's fight together, let's struggle together, let's stay together, let's pray together, let's march together, and together we win. God bless you.
Please welcome Jon Ossoff, candidate.
Columbus. Columbus, give it up again for my friend, Reverend Raphael Warnock. Columbus, it is great to be here. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for how hard you're working. Thank you for joining us this morning to welcome the Vice President-elect of the United States, Kamala Harris. Columbus, the whole country is watching Georgia right now. The whole country is watching Georgia right now. All eyes on Georgia. And Columbus, think about how far we've come. Think about how far we've come in the American South. Think about how far we've come in the great state of Georgia, now the most competitive battleground state in the United States. Hosting 2 U.S. Senate runoffs for control of the United States Senate. Think about how far we've come, Columbus, that your standard bearers are the young Jewish son of an immigrant mentored by John Lewis and a black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Columbus, think about how far we've come. Good trouble. And we're running against like the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption in American politics. Columbus, how did we wind up with Kelly and David? How did we wind up with Kelly and David? 2 United States senators more concerned with using their offices to line their own pockets than looking out for we the people who pay their salaries. We deserve better, Columbus, and retirement is coming for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. We have the power, Columbus. We have the power to hold them accountable. And we have bigger and better things to discuss than David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, like where we go from here. Georgia has the power to decide where we go from here. We have the power to write the next chapter in American history. Because the fog is lifting. Donald Trump is leaving. We may not know it yet, but Donald Trump is leaving and Georgia voters sent Donald Trump packing. You did that. So what comes next is up to us. In Columbus, we are building a movement for health and jobs and justice for the people. Health and jobs and justice for all the people. Let's talk about health, Columbus. Do you believe, like I do, and like Reverend Warnock does, that health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it or who live in the right zip code? Do you believe, like I do, that every single Georgian deserves the best health care available on earth? We can make that happen. I was just out in Cuthbert, Georgia, 3 days ago. In Cuthbert, they lost their hospital in October. In the middle of a pandemic, their hospital closed down. And David Perdue and this state's political leaders who refuse to expand Medicaid are responsible for the closure of rural hospitals across this state. We've lost 9 rural hospitals in 10 years, Columbus. And if you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will deliver the resources to reopen those hospitals and to build clinics that will serve every community in Georgia, because we believe that health care is a human right and not just a privilege. We can stand up to the insurance and drug companies that are ripping off Georgia families every day. Surprise medical bills that arrive 6 months after a visit to the hospital. The prices that families are forced to pay at the pharmacy every day for life-saving medicines like insulin. It doesn't have to be this way, and we can fix it. We can make affordable health care a reality for every family in this state, because Columbus, health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it. And this is about health and jobs and justice for all the people. Let's talk about jobs, Columbus. We have the chance to pass the most ambitious infrastructure and jobs and economic relief plan in American history to build back our economy after this crisis. We can repair our roads and bridges. We can build those clinics and hospitals. We can upgrade our public schools. We can ensure every community in Georgia has high-speed internet access. We can make Georgia the #1 producer of clean and renewable energy in the American South, and America the #1 producer of clean energy in the world. We can do these things, Columbus. We can create tens of thousands of jobs while we do it. We can raise the minimum wage to $15 because an honest week's work shouldn't just allow us to survive, it should allow us to thrive. We can do all of these things, Columbus. But let's be very clear about the stakes of these elections. Because if Mitch McConnell continues to control the U.S. Senate, he will try to do to Joe and Kamala just like he tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the minimum wage increase that we need. They will block the expansion of Pell Grants that would allow every young person in this state to get a 4-year degree from a public college or an HBCU without a penny of debt. We have too much good work to do, Columbus, to be mired in gridlock and obstruction. We have too much good work to do on behalf of the people. And Columbus, the polls are open right now. The polls are open right now. So Columbus, say it with me now. Say vote. Vote. Say vote. Vote. Say vote. Vote. The polls are open, Columbus. Health, jobs, and justice for the people. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about justice. See, my mother came to this country as an immigrant when she was 23 years old because she believed in the ideas that America stands for. The ideas that so many have fought and sacrificed for. And Columbus, please join me in taking a moment to recognize all of the veterans and all of the military families who are here with us today. Thank you for your service. My mother came to this country because she believed in the ideas this country stands for. And let me be very clear that that doesn't mean she indulged some kind of fantasy about our past. That doesn't mean that she didn't recognize how much further this country had to go. But she believed, like the Reverend was just talking about, that this is a country on a journey of progress. That our democracy is what empowers us to build this country so that we fully realize our founding ideals of equality in God's eyes and equal justice under the law. That's what America is all about. And the ballot box is where we demand that progress. That's why my mother became a citizen. The ballot box, Columbus, is where we demand that progress. Columbus, say it with me again. Say vote. Vote. Say vote. Vote. Equal justice for all. The 14th Amendment to our Constitution already guarantees equal protection under the law. But when Ahmaud Arbery is shot to death in broad daylight on camera in the street, and the authorities look the other way because he is a young black man, that makes a mockery of equal protection under the law. So Columbus, are you ready to fight for a new Civil Rights Act that will secure equal justice for all, regardless of race and regardless of class? And a new Voting Rights Act that will protect the sacred franchise and end voter suppression. Columbus, we have the power to make this happen. The next 2 years can be the most productive for civil rights and voting rights since 1964 and 1965. We have the power as Georgia voters to make this happen. You have the power to make this happen. We have to organize and mobilize and work like we have never worked before. Columbus, are you ready to put in the work these next 2 weeks to make this happen? Are you ready to knock on doors and call your neighbors and get everybody you know at church and at school and at work out to the polls? Columbus, say it with me again now. Say vote. Vote. Say vote. Vote. Columbus, join me once again in thanking the Reverend Raphael Warnock for running for office. Columbus, join me again in welcoming the next Vice President of the United States, Senator Kamala Harris. Columbus, let's do this together. Let's do it from a place of love and compassion and decency and unity. We are turning the page on 4 years of hatred and fear and division and racism. Let's be filled with love for each other as we do this work. Let's build the kind of country we want to live to the next generation. I'm grateful to all of you for being here. I'm grateful for your support. God bless you. God bless the United States. And thank you for all that you're doing. I appreciate it. Thank
Please welcome B.J. Tillman.
Greetings, everyone. I first just want to say how honored and so in awe I am to be here and introduce our next Vice President. I know that you all didn't just come here to see Vice President-elect Harris, but I know that you're also here because you understand the importance of voting. You understood it in November when you voted in record numbers, and shout out to Georgia's young voters who were #1 in the country. Early voting has begun in our state, and I hope you understand the importance of your voice and your vote now, because we have unfinished business, Georgia. These two Senate races are so very critical to America's future, and in the words of President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, we are determining the soul of America. To those people who do not understand the importance of voting, our Vice President-elect is a living image of America's voice. People who were born without a silver spoon, our next speaker is you. People who have had to fight for and earn the respect that they deserve, our next speaker is you. People of color, our next speaker is you. Women, our next speaker is you. America, our next speaker is you. Columbus, Georgia, please help me welcome the first female Vice President-elect of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
She, through this campaign, up to November, was organizing folks, was registering folks, everyone from young students to the younger of the eldest of us. She has been organizing people and still continues to be such a leader. And when I look at someone like BJ, I know our future is bright. Let's give it up for BJ. All right, well, it is so good to be back in Georgia. It is so good to be back in Georgia. And I am here first and foremost to thank you all on behalf of Joe Biden and myself for doing what you did in November. Because you did what no one thought could be done. You did what no one thought could be done. And you made a statement not only about who is Georgia, what is the voice of Georgia, what are the priorities of Georgia, what Georgia will not allow to be denied about Georgia, but you also made a statement about who we are as a country. You allowed people around this nation to say, don't ever put us in a box and tell us who we are. We will tell you who we are. That's what you did. That's what you did right here in Columbus. And so I am here, first and foremost, on behalf of Joe Biden and myself, to say thank you. Thank you for what you did. And of course, no good thank you comes without asking for a little bit more. So, January 5th. January 5th. You know, 2020 has been a difficult year. 2020 has been rough. You know, people keep making jokes about 2020, like, we want this thing to be over. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, Georgia, Columbus, 2020 ain't over until January 5th. That's when 2020 will be over. That's when we'll get this thing done. Because as you know, everything is at stake when it comes to the need to elect Reverend Raphael Warnock, to elect Jon Ossoff, to elect Daniel Blackman. Everything is at stake. Everything that was at stake in November is at stake leading up to January 5th. Look at what's happening right now in this state. We're looking across the country at so much devastation. People who have lost family members, lost time being able to go to work, lost time in terms of our children's education and the days of their education they have missed. There's been so much loss these years, and in particular this year. We're looking here in Georgia at the fact that 1 in 7 families is describing their household as being hungry. We're in the midst of a hunger crisis in America, and it's hitting Georgia hard. 1 in 7 describing hunger in their households. 1 in 6 Georgian families are describing an inability or difficulty to pay rent. 1 in 4 small businesses in Georgia have gone out of business or are about to go out of business. And what we are here to talk about, and why everyone, all the leaders are here right now together, because if you're here, you're a leader, is to say that we will have our voices heard. We will not let anyone silence us. We will speak up about what we need. We will tell you what we want, and we will make it happen through our vote. And just like you did, you will do it again. And here's the thing, you know, I was here, Joe Biden was here, we were all here together in Georgia before November. And remember how we knew what was at stake and the challenge ahead of us. We knew, like Stacey Abrams been telling us and organizing against it, that there would be powerful people trying to prevent us from voting. We knew the kind of games they would play to make it difficult, to suppress our vote, to make it confusing, to discourage us. And in November we talked about that and we said we know the challenge that is before us. Well, the same challenge exists today. And so we again ask, as it relates to January 5th, the question we asked in November: why are so many powerful people trying to make it so difficult for us to vote? We have to ask the question why, and we know the answer, because they know our power. They know when we vote, things change. They know when we vote, we win. So what we did in November, we can do again, because it comes from a very deep place inside of us. Understanding this is not about a dance, this is not about a gesture, this is about our lives. This is about the lives of our children. This is about the life of our community and the lifeblood of our nation. Now, you all know I was elected to the United States Senate 4 years ago. Actually, a bittersweet night. It was the same night Donald Trump was elected. But I was elected to the United States Senate, becoming only the second black woman in the history of the United States Senate to be elected. Only the second. I am currently the only black woman in the United States Senate. And here's what I have also come to visit with you to share. The decisions that are made in that body, in the United States Senate, there are only 100 senators. They call the United States Senate the most deliberative body in the world. They elect people, we elect people for 6 years in the United States Senate because the job is so important and potentially so powerful, and is so important in terms of representing the state as a whole, that we want to give people the amount of time that is necessary for them to establish themselves and a voice for their state in a way that they are not only leaders for their state, but national leaders. It is in the United States Senate where I went to the floor, they call it the well of the Senate. It's a grand building, our United States Capitol. It's beautiful. And the panels, wood paneling, been there forever. Pristine desks. You can see the names of the founders of our democracy written in those desks. And I sat on that floor when the Republicans were trying to get rid of the They are the strong voices of the people of this state. So, we've got it within our power, and you have it within your hands, to make a statement about who is Georgia and the power of the voice of Georgia. Sending these two, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, to the United States Congress, to the United States Senate, to say, it is us, the people COVID package tonight in D.C., and I will be voting for it. But I wanted to come and visit with you before Christmas, to ask that among the things that you plan to do for Christmas, we all have our traditions. So many of us, our traditions have been changed because of the virus and what we need to do to be safe. But in the spirit of this season, in the spirit of the celebration of a birth that taught us that it is within the power of an individual to leave this world better than we found it.
Right.
Let us use these days leading up to January 5th in the spirit of all that is good and right to make sure everyone we know understands their power, that they understand what is at stake. And my final point is this. 2020, you know, we got all kinds of words for it, most of which we should not say in front of children. And like I said, I think 2020 will truly be over on January 5th. And that being said, Columbus, this moment will pass. This moment will pass. This moment of loss, this moment of so many crises hitting so hard, it will pass. And years from now, our children, our grandchildren, and others will look in our eyes, each one of us. They'll look in our eyes and they will ask us, where were you at that moment in time? Where were you? And what I know we all will be able to tell them is so much more than just how we felt at this moment. We will tell them what we did. We will tell them we were hanging out at Bib Mill, that we were hanging out with Jon and Raphael. Kamala came to take us to visit. We will tell them that we organized, that we reminded people to vote early, and we will tell them we elected the next senators to the United States Senate. That is what we will tell them. Thank you, Columbus. Thank you.
There's so many girls, I hear you've been running from the beautiful queen. If you can read the comment, you can look in my palm and see the storm coming. Read the book of my life and see I'm overcoming. Just because the length of your hair ain't long, and they often criticize you for your skin tone. Wanna hold your head high 'cause you a pretty woman. Get your runway stride home and keep it going. Don't live your life. Yeah. Follow me, follow me, follow me, girl, be yourself. Let 'em get mad. They gon' hate anyway, don't you get that? Doesn't matter if you're going on with their plan. They'll never be happy 'cause they're not happy with themselves. I'm talking about things that I know. It's okay, show yourself some love. Don't worry about who sees you. Celebrate because the lights on me. Celebrate for the things that everyone's on me. Whenever I happen with God, those days on me. And even in the light, celebrate for me. What I gotta keep on. Take care of myself, I won't live on. Ain't never ashamed of my determined. Wasn't afraid to change 'cause it was good for me. I just wanna be yourself.
All right, folks, that was Vice President-elect Kamala Harris speaking here in Columbus, Georgia. To the crowd here, it certainly improved when we first started. She spoke for about plus 3 or so minutes on behalf of Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. And so now, as she said, she heads back to Washington, D.C. to vote on the COVID relief bill. We're going to be live with Roland Martin on Field Good tonight, breaking this down even further, talking about that particular bill. So tune in at 6 p.m. Eastern on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Or go to youtube.com/Roland Martin. Watch on YouTube channel, Facebook, our Periscope channel as well. We'll also be restreaming this rally over the next 24 hours as well. All right, folks, I'll see you guys in about 4 hours. Take care. Holla.